G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but of course I have to share the mic with my two idiot mates. So first off, let's bring in Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
BP.
G'day world, how is everyone going today?
Excellent, mate. How's your new studio?
I love it. Just waiting for the weather girl to walk past, as you know. We've already discussed that.
We have already discussed that. Oh, welcome to the modern age, mate. You look so pro.
Oh, getting there. Working on it.
You should have a tie and a suit on now, mate.
Yeah, there we go. That'll be the next step.
Well, let's bring in the other bloke because we haven't spoken to each other for a couple of weeks. So hang on, let's see if we can find him.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Looks like Lieutenant Nick Boyce.
Yeah, no, I had a little trim up. I'm just going for a job at BP's weather studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for the viewers, it's BP's seated himself in basically the Channel 9 studios. And you're looking good. I like it.
Well, it's who you know.
Where'd you find that stuff, man?
Oh, mate, this is. I just quickly whipped this up earlier. It's not real. There's, it's all paper and plastic and paper mache, but it looks good, looks the part.
I like it.
I've got to say, given that 99.9% of our people are listening to this rather than watching our pathetic attempt at posting stuff on YouTube, all this banter is completely irrelevant for nearly everyone because no one can see.
Isn't that the entire show?
Total irrelevance.
Yeah. Absolute 100% irrelevance.
Right. Cool. Anything to bring up before we roll into this week's guest?
No, I think we just get straight
into
it.
I think, it'll be pretty clear shortly who's not part of the interview. And I'm sure you blokes took the piss out of me, as you probably should have.
No, we saved taking the piss out of you till right now, boss.
Yeah, copy. Who I was clearly not, not clearly, but verbally I was not present.
No.
Mentally you were.
Took place. Yeah.
From my understanding, Mr. Bice, you were with the flag officers of the Newcastle Yacht Club having a fine dinner with them. I know this is not one of our sayings, but I kind of feel like you've lost touch with the common man.
Well, if you're a flag officer, you are the common man. Everyone else is a little bit below you.
I mean, I've got to be honest, mate. If you're Commodore of the Cruising Yacht Club of South Australia, which is fair, and you're with the flag officers of Newcastle Yacht Club there, and run by their CEO, Paul's great bloke. But do you just talk about like washing techniques for keeping your whites white? Is that all you blokes talk about?
Yeah, no, nappy sand is the go.
Nappy sand and how to starch collars and get that crease down the front of the pants.
And here I am asking those blokes, how do I tie my tie? I've got one of those ones with the elastic loop.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't you have one of the ones with the elastic loop on it?
Bloody hell.
Very good.
Bloody hell.
No, mid-regatta, the Sail Fest, Newcastle, which is, we got here, we sailed Friday, and it was a little bit wavy for us Adelaideans. As you know, we just deal with a bit of sea breeze now and then. Yeah. Here they have like real swell stuff.
Yeah. It's called ocean.
But then yesterday, not much breeze at all. So we had one race yesterday, and then launching into 3 windward lords today with some nice northwesterly, which could be interesting.
Looks like you guys are going pretty quick, but your rating's not loving you at the moment, just judged by the results. Having a look at that. Bossy, I just want to ask, so Quest, I think Craig Neal's boat, he was interviewed and he was talking about the weather and the conditions. Looked fantastic day. But he does mention there's 150 odd people sailing in the 10 boats, so 10 TP52s, all moored together. It's very social between everyone here. We're all enjoying a cold beer nibbles before heading out to dinner. Mate, did you just get on the piss and ignore us? Is that why you weren't part of that interview?
Oh, if it was last night, yes. Correct.
That's exactly when it was.
But Friday night, negative. No, we all just came into town Friday. It's only a 2-day regatta. But he could squeeze it out a couple more days, I would argue.
Yeah.
In saying that, though, glorious conditions.
And for those who do
East Coast, you're a bit of an Novocastrian, Jordan.
Yeah, lived there for a few years. Yeah.
From these
bloody
parts.
wonderful place. Wonderful place. Spent backwards. You'll be having a ball, mate. And look, the conditions look glamorous. So we might even touch on that more. And for those auditing, I know we have some that go around and audit Bicey's sailing performance. I did find a photo of you actually sailing on the Secret Men's Business on the rail, sitting next to Caelan Howard, clearly talking about the heel angles
Stockton
and whether the
Beach,
fridge was
about the full drives doing jumps on Stockton Beach.
The entrance into Stockton Beach on the Land Rover.
I love it. Speaking of what else I love is we're up to we've sort of been, we don't like to piss people off and we like to sort of just cruise along and have fun with our mates. So we wanted to follow up on that last leg of the ocean race, but we wanted to let a few of our friends get back and have a bit of time with family before we harassed them. And then we started harassing them. And one of your closest mates, a man you've been around the world with a lot of times, Bice, is our guest, Mr. Simon Fisher, episode 18 and episode 164, if you want to hear some more of that background. And given that you're so close, Bice, must have been hard not to attend this session.
Yeah, I believe they call it a bit of a bull terror in the wrong sense. An old mate of mine who a lot of yachting with, and literally hearing it from the horse's mouth, and to get right in depth with all the talk that he has and all the insight. And I couldn't make it. So a bit disappointed about that. So I'm going to have to hand it over to you two guys.
It's a great session, going to be honest.
I'll come back next week just to get the show back on track.
I think that would be good. That would be good. Great session. We, as I said, we talked to Simon Fisher. He's from the Navigator on 11th hour, and he really went into depth. So enjoy. It's good to see you, SIFI. Glad to see you safe, mate. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, good to be back on dry land. Finally, enjoying every minute.
You look bloody fantastic. You look absolutely fantastic. I've got to say. I mean, the hair's nice and you've shaved. I did see a photo of you, and I thought that's not SIFI. When you got off the boat,
it's an older version of yeah. Every one of these races I do, I'm more and more grey. I don't know if it's if it's time marching on or the race makes you more grey. I definitely feel more grey after.
Before we get into the into the depth of the race and or the leg, I should say, and the hardness of it and all that sort of stuff. Personally, I mean, the impact on your body must have been insane. I mean, you look like you're reborn right now. Is that the best way to describe it? That you just basically went through hell and back?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the toughest legs I've done in the history of this race, for sure. I mean, I think we did one in 2008 with Telefonica that was like 40-something days.
Wow.
But different boats, and like a different course. That was like more north-south, so we had lots of nice sailing in the tropics and all of this, whereas this was 38 days of some pretty hard sailing, which was, pretty much all in the south bar the last couple of days. And I mean, the leg also had a real sting in its tail. Because we sort of made it through the south, and then we had a couple of hard days into the Horn, and you're around the Horn, and like naturally, everyone's excited because you're going north and things are getting better. And then we had a couple of really big low pressures. We had like
at 45 degrees south.
Yeah. No, it stays cold for a while. Actually, our coldest days were after the Horn. And we had some pretty intense low pressures, biggest wind speeds, gnarliest squalls, all after the Horn. So, it had a real sting in its tail. So we're definitely, relieved to make it to Brazil in, what you could call one piece, or as close to one piece as possible in this situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we... what I wouldn't mind doing is just sort of analysing the leg and then talking about some of the things we noticed and stuff like that, because I've got a few key things that I picked up. BP, I'll lead off if you're happy. First off, at the start, remember you did your little lap and everyone zoomed around at the start, and then you all stopped and sat next to each other for a good while, which is Cape Town. That's just Cape Town.
Yeah.
And then you headed west, like you were going straight to Brazil, going to the west. Remember doing that?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, someone brought up in the skipper's briefing, Seb Simon on Gaio. He was like, as the rules were originally written, you could have actually gone like through the Magellan Strait, around Cape Horn that way and up, which sounded pretty appealing, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Needless to say, they amended the course, so we had to go around the long way. But yeah, I mean, we took off, and it was the best way to get to the south was to go west, which is sometimes the case. But
out of the wind.
It was actually pretty tough. And then we obviously had our little delay getting out of there. We the import lap in Cape Town didn't disappoint. I think we saw 40 something knots in that little import lap.
Yeah.
We were fairly reefed down with like 2 reefs in the J3, but I think we still hit like 38 knots or something going around that. It was all pretty manic. And then we had one jibe that didn't go as well as it could, and we lost a couple of wingtips off the ends of the battens, and then had to stop and suspend racing, which actually turns out was very fortunate we did, because a bit further down the way we had a similar issue, and had we not have suspended racing and got more spares, then we would have been all out. So that would have been a bit of MacGyvering. And then it was, so we had to watch the other guys sail off into the distance, or half the fleet at least. And then sort of catch up. We could kind of see him getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we sort of resumed racing, and had to fight our way out to the breeze. Fought our way out to the breeze back into 35 knots, I think it was, on the first night. And then we're sort of trying to get out west to get to the new breeze and get south. And there was a bit of messing around in the current as well, which is quite strong there, which wasn't really playing ball, actually. It was I remember Charlie at one point kind of saying, well, the current's always right when we don't want it to be, and it's always wrong when we do want it to be. So we had a bit of flopping around in the current trying to get our way, and eventually we were on our way and got going, and then things got challenging pretty early on there.
Well, we have to say, like, did you tread on someone's cat or something before this leg? Because I was trying to go through the list of things, because like you said, the wingtips on your battens, you bent your pulpit, you did your rudders, and then the mainsail. Jesus Christ, like, that's insane repair you guys did. That was insane. Like, what? It was like I think someone did something bad in a former life, maybe. I don't know. It was unreal, the amount of issues we had, and there were some little things as well which sort of kind of hampered us. Well, little problems. So on day 2, I think 3 of the teams finished without their electric motors working on their keel pumps. I sort of gave up the ghost on day 2, so we did most of that leg manually pumping the keel.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So jibing was we had a little issue with that. We bust the mechanical bit on our mast rotation sensor as well. So that meant when we were doing maneuvers, we didn't know where
the mast was.
Didn't know where the mast was, didn't know where the wind was, and that sort of, so all these little things kind of like stacked up. So by the end of the leg, when we were jibing up into Itajaí, we were tacking around because we didn't want to damage the mainsail with the slam through and the jibe. But then we were like, didn't have the wind gear, and then we were pumping the keel through manually, and it was like a whole drama just to turn the boat. But happy to say we made it.
I think we said off air a second ago that we could write a song about it, from little things, big things come.
Yeah. No, it was unreal, really. It's amazing when you're down there and in these boats, which are obviously much more fragile than the 65s we raced before, or to an extent,
even the 70s.
The 70s, which were more fragile, but were real sort of ocean-going bulldozers when it came to getting the speed out of those things.
It's a huge point, which I'd like to bring up, and I think majority of the world is asking this question. We've gone down this path of 65s, the 70s. We went to the 65s because of fragility, and now we're back with these boats. Boats, and you are in the forefront of, experiencing them on what is the longest leg probably ever in the Volvo Ocean Race. Well, sorry, the Ocean Race, I should say. Sorry, guys. But that entire let's say migration of philosophy is just phenomenal, and to go through what you've been through over the last sort of 40 days is just insane.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive step back towards the sort of design, development, more fragile boats and all of that. And honestly, I really think we were, everyone was kind of breaking new ground with these boats, sailing them fully crewed and at the tempo that we do when we're fully crewed compared to the single-handed guys.
Yep.
And we've certainly, I think everybody in the fleet saw issues. I think we saw more than our fair share, but I think everyone saw issues from that. From pushing the boats harder and trying to keep going in spite of bigger sea state and all of that. So it was definitely a challenge, and I think it's been a challenge for us on the boat. And I think there's plenty of stuff to sort of open the designer's eyes and all of that sort of stuff as well. So I mean, and it the whole game is to sort of play on the edge. You put too much weight in, you're not as fast, but you don't put enough in, you're not reliable. So there's been plenty of areas where we're sort of feeling our way out, and no, I mean, on the whole, like structurally and stuff, the boat was really good, but we had sort of plenty of small issues, and like I was alluding to before, it's like all those little small issues when you're in the south and there's plenty of wind and there's only 4 of you on board, 4 of you sailing on board, and all that, they sort of escalate so quickly. But
I can't imagine
it kind of all stacks up.
I guess we'll talk about the crew later. But the difference in designs you touched on a second ago. I mean, Militia, for example, just showed having that little bit more volume forward helped her a little bit through those serious conditions. We are now back in this serious, almost R&D stage of what works and what doesn't work with this type of design. Are we going to see a separation from the Imoca sort of solo style boat to an ocean racing type boat? Because it's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll see so much different. I think we'll actually see the solo guys. I mean, the solo guys, I think, and the sort of French philosophy has always been like lightweight and like sort of push that quite hard. But I think the way that the guys are sailing the boats and the way that they're learning to get performance out of the boats is with these foiling boats, is to push them a bit harder. And the slamming and the motion and the loads involved in the riding moment you can generate with the foils are sort of going up and up. So I sort of see, like we sort of deliberately put more structure in these ocean race designs, thinking that they were going to get pushed harder. But I would imagine that, and I'm sort of curious to ask Guillaume that if for his new boat, his latest design, which is going to be Charlie Dallin's new boat, if he's actually backed off on the structure at all, I would imagine that that's probably going to become the new norm. And certainly there was structure going into the boats after the route de Rhum and that sort of thing. So I suspect everyone's going to sort of trend to getting slightly stronger. And actually we've seen with Malizia as well, her pace is impressive.
Yeah.
How she got over the waves is impressive, and how that scow design works in all the conditions where it's not supposed to be so good is impressive as well. And
once you're up on the foils, it's all sort of adds to aero, doesn't it?
So and she's probably one of the heavier boats in the fleet, and
she is.
went just fine. So it's a good advert for putting a bit more structure in.
Well, I'm sort of seeing the boats going. Sorry, Jay, just quickly. I'm sort of seeing the boats going to a full on, like, let's go full light. Let's get these things in the air to actually let's make them more usable and more.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
More saleable.
Yeah, I think that's true. And the evolution with the foils have got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we've got the class rule, which kind of limits it to 8 meters squared, or sort of it's like a cubed. It's like it's an area and a moment and a sort of at a moment to sort of limit.
It's way above our heads,
but it's plenty
worry.
big. It's plenty big,
Yeah,
so you can get the boats to take off pretty early, and you can like load on the aero power with big sails and all that sort of stuff now. So I think we're sort of trending towards stronger boats. And then once you go, and you can go. Once you go in and the sea state gets up, you can do plenty of slamming. So trying to build a platform that will sustain that is definitely a challenge.
It's interesting going into the start of the race. We bantered a lot around different things, and it was pretty evident that you and Malitza, you guys, 11th hour and Malitza, could push it harder in the heavier winds, is what we figured. That's what we guessed going into the start of this leg. And we sort of thought that because you've had so much build-up time, you know, you would be less likely to suffer breakage. You know, you've worked through all these things, and it was the exact opposite. You guys suffered more, and what was supposed to be the leg you were going to shine sort of got taken away from you. One of the things that I noticed, I think BP was all over it as well, is it was almost match racing right across the bottom of Australia out to past New Zealand. And when we looked at the photos as you were coming into the gate there next to Melitza, you guys were inside of each other, and we could see photos of you guys, and you were double foiled. And I was wondering, was that something you guys had to do to keep your bow up to try and stay with Melitza? Was that a tactic, or was that just something you had to do for other reasons that you don't want to share?
No, I mean it's actually a performance thing, and I mean we were pretty secret squirrel about the double board thing early days, but I think everybody's doing it now, and it's just more bow up with that other foil.
Yeah.
And certainly our platform,
well?
yeah. When you're sort of going downwind and the waves get bigger, then you're trying to do everything you can to get your bow up. And certainly with our boat, our platform is probably the most conventional bowed, excluding Gaia, which is the old 11-1. So and that's probably the biggest thing. The sea state for these boats is like the biggest driver, and that's why I think Melitza really, really shined on this leg. She's built for dealing with the sea state, and she was laying down some pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah.
And actually, just coming up to the scoring gate, she came whistling past us, like hauling the mail, like all out of the water, not slowing down in the waves. And that's the sort of where we struggle. Or
can we try and get a little
struggle?
bit?
As soon as you start nosediving, you kind of like the best way to avoid the nosediving with our boat is to sail hard and sail fast.
Yep.
But then it kind of comes to a limit where you're sailing so hard and fast that you're bit on the edge, and you're probably going to break something if you keep going like that.
The wipe
so slowing down and being sensible is kind of a challenge, because you slow down too much and then you go down and nosedive in every wave.
It's a fine line, yeah.
You spend half your time pressed up against the bulkheads.
or smashing your head against pipe cots, as our young Rosalind found out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a huge point. I mean, the performance side of the boats. I mean, how do you actually sort of? I mean, you must have an understanding of the boats now. You must feel the boat. So obviously, you're steering with autopilot, so it's all it's all done, mechanically to an extent. But I mean, what's the feeling you're feeling when you actually launch onto a massive wave? I mean, there must have been some big waves out there. And you feel the boat going, and you go, okay, no, we're good here. Just keep sending it a bit deeper. You're 100% moving that boat around the wave, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of have to like trust the autopilot to an extent. And then there's like a certain amount of, I call it game buying on top of it, because you're kind of hitting the pilot control to like get it going or bear it away or trying to catch something. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting just to sort of talk about the autopilot, You get the naysayers like, they're on autopilot, it's not proper sailing. But so certainly in my experience, because you're trying to get the pilot to do what you want to do if you were driving, you kind of got to feel the boat and feel like, you still feel the boat under your bum, and, you have the sheet in your hand, and this much sheet change can be knots of difference in these boats.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
So it's actually, it's still proper sailing, and you still got a rope in your hand, and my hands are almost better now, but
Wow.
They didn't look like I've been on the computer for 40 days, but that's cool.
Well,
but it is an interesting sort of going back to your original question. It's an interesting feeling. There's this kind of feeling where the sea state's sort of reasonably flat, and you can push hard, and the boat's ripping along, and you quite happily, get up into the high, sitting in the high 20s, you're nudging into the high 30s, and it's not too bad. And it's kind of all cool. And in that flat water mode, it's great because the wind comes up and you can just have lower and lower and lower, and you're still falling.
Yeah.
And that's all cool. And then there's kind of like a big step change where the sea state gets a bit more, and you start doing the nose diving, and that's kind of when it gets harder. And it's a real balance about having enough sail to sort of get you going and keep on the waves, but the uneasy moments. So when you're doing like 14, 15 knots, and then you take off down a wave and you're doing 38, and then like everybody who's awake is like hanging on to something, whatever they can grab, because they know in 5, maybe 10 seconds there might be a massive deceleration. And it doesn't take many of those massive nosedives where you go from 38 knots to 13 knots that, you're like, okay, time out.
So how do you handle that? Is that when you go into full slowdown mode? You just go or find the balance between the wave motion, the wind speed, and everything?
Exactly.
This is our safe mode.
You gotta reduce sail and I guess that's the most challenging thing. And I think maybe for some of the other boats in the fleet with sort of slightly softer bows, it's a bit easier. But that's sort of our biggest challenge is to sort of slow down, go to less sail lower, and still sort of have good pace.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like all of these boats. It's all about trying to do like a nice average speed.
Yes.
Well, sometimes you get like in this mode where you can go 13 or 30 knots, and all you want to do is just chunter along at 20, and you'd be happy.
Hey, the funny thing, Si, when you said Melitza went screaming past you near the gate there, BP and I were actually on the phone chatting to them at the time. We could actually hear it. They were talking about you guys, and we were just having a friendly chat with them, and it was surreal. We could hear them like totally focused on not broaching. They were so close to the edge of broaching, and they saw you broach, and we could hear them. They going, "Oh, they're broaching," and like, so you guys were right next to each other. Right?
No, it was super close, and it was wild in that much racing in a leg that long. How much time we could see other boats?
So much.
It was pretty surreal moments at times. You're right in the middle of the Southern Ocean.
I mean, we've
away
seen this
from land as you can possibly get, and you're all like in sight of each other, jibing down an imaginary exclusion zone that someone sort of invented for the rules. You're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Insane.
I mean, we saw it with the 65s. 65s were on each other's tail, jibing, and that was, that was a tactical and navigational thing. Was there still an element of that? Is that where you had to be because of the wind conditions and the fact that you were there, or was there a little bit of let's just sort of hang out a little bit together? Or because you're in the Southern Ocean. You're 5,000 miles from anywhere.
Yeah. There was definitely a point in the race where I think, and you could kind of sense it on we sort of had this fleet-wide chat where race control and all that.
Absolutely.
There was definitely times where no one was pushing sort of too hard, and no one really wanted to, put their foot down too much. And I think everyone sort of halfway, 3/4 way across the ocean was just kind of quite enjoying cruising in company, if you see what I mean.
Well,
it was all quite
point.
nice, and quite nice to know that those other boats were around.
Yeah, well,
there was definitely an element of that.
Yeah.
And it was pretty wild how the race just kept on coming back together again. Early on, we had a few issues and just sort of missed the weather. I think when we broke a board down line, we had to slow down a bit, and that was probably the difference between us making it off the whole seam and falling off the weather, and then getting rolled by the high, and then sort of doing the whole catch up again. But at one stage, Holston was like 950 miles from us in range, which was wild, and it all came back together again. And I definitely, all the jibing down the ice gate was tactical and about the weather, but there was something that kind of all aligned up in this leg as well, where the ice gates were where they were, and the systems were where they were, and our speed in these boats, which was like just a little bit faster than the fronts, kind of created the situation where we could never really escape from each other. We had a whole period where you get in the lead, and then you come off of the ice gate and go north, and then the other guys would catch up, and you'd jibe down, go behind them, and then overtake them all to the south again, and we just kept on circulating around as a fleet like this for a good few days.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing, isn't it, that over that distance, that the let's say technology and also the knowledge of performance and positioning and all of the things that add up to make you be in the right spot at the right time. You could be 400 or 500 miles apart and then come together and be where you were. It's still pretty cool. Even with these boats, that's what we were worried about. As onlookers, we're worried about. One boat's going to be 3,000 miles faster than the other, but it wasn't. It wasn't the case.
Yeah. No, going into this race, we sort of, certainly personally, I was expecting a lot more separation in the fleet with boats that are slightly different and polars are slightly different, and different choices in sail. So it's been pretty interesting to see that we've spent so much time sailing alongside each other and had such close racing. I mean, we get skeds every hour, and I think that kind of drives the fleet to be a little bit closer again, because you can kind of always adjust.
Well, you don't want to lose a position.
No, and it kind of, the more you have the other boats positioned, probably the more it sort of pulls the fleet together. I think if we had 6 hourly skeds or whatever it was, then you'd probably see a bit more separation just naturally. But no, it's been impressive how close the racing's been, and I mean, it's been quite a contrast. Like legs 1 and 2 was really about getting every detail and like getting your boat perfectly placed for every shift and all that sort of stuff. And that was pretty intense. And then obviously this last leg was a bit different, because it was just a lot about keeping your boat in one piece, choosing the right time to slow down, whether it's to maintain your boat or fix it, in our case, a few times. And so it sort of felt like quite a different challenge, but it was definitely a challenge.
So, I mean, for you, mate, you've got the navigator role. You've got a super hard job when you're talking about it. So what we're talking about is your role. And I've noted a few different tactical elements. And I wonder for you guys whether the damage that you suffered sort of changed your tactical perspective quite a lot. And there's a couple of observations I've got. So you mentioned the big jump when Holson got away. It turned into this match race, and everyone kept passing each other by, as you said, going to the ice gates, and the ice gates were quite high. Yeah. Particularly once you got into Cape Horn, and so everyone kept passing on the south. But the actual winning break that Melitza got once they got near the Cape was they stayed north a little bit, and close to South America, and they got that little gap there.
North, but a bit of a northwesterly sort of influence.
Yeah. And so, like the pressure of making those decisions for you with all the stuff going on and then things breaking, like it must have been so hard, because you sort of, I've got my boat set up and then, oh shit, like it can't work. Like, and the hole after New Zealand, there was a gigantic hole where you all got to sit there and drink pina coladas, like it's an insane leg.
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy. And it felt kind of weird, because it was like after leg 2, which was like so intense and so exhausting, and like every hour there was something tactical happening. This one kind of felt a bit weird as the navigator, because I guess there was so much going on with the boat and just maintaining the boat and keeping the gear in the right place, that sort of a lot of the tactical decisions, sort of that micro detail that takes so much energy, so they kind of got taken away, because you're just sort of trying to keep the boat in one piece. And but there was like, you had to kind of try and pick the moments you were going to slow down, you're going to fix stuff when we had to repair the rudders, or that sort of stuff. And then it's pretty gut wrenching as well when you're like sailing a little bit compromised and you're slowing down, and you're going to fall off the back of something, and it's like, do you try and hang on, or do you try and like reposition yourself for the new wind? That sort of thing, are you trying to hang on to what you got, or do you have to like admit that make that hard realization that you're going to lose out, and actually the best thing you can do is sort of reposition yourself for the next stuff that's coming. So that was tough in a way, but in some ways, having all those issues sort of took a bit of pressure off as a navigator, because you're sort of just trying to best manage the situation you got. Yeah, there was a fair bit of nursing, and there was a fair bit of like, I mean, some of the tough choices though, actually sort of thinking about it is like, all right, we can go here and it's going to be bloody windy, or do we, making that cool, or do we go over here, which is a little bit less. And then actually coming into the Horn, we kind of had a situation where we were, pretty well reefed down, and we had our issues with the mainsail, and we wanted to be with 3 reefs, and we were like, well, okay, well, actually, we're better off sailing in more wind. So we actually, at one stage, we took the decision to sail in a bit more breeze, so we could keep going with little sails, rather than sort of going into less breeze and then having to put the bigger gear
use
on,
a damaged sail,
and push harder. So it was it was an interesting one in that leg. But I mean, I took a bit of solace in the fact, or pleasure in the fact that when there were a few little tactical bits like coming into the Horn and repositioning for new weather and all of that, we did a reasonable job. So there was a bit of navigating to be done.
Well, we know Bicey's not here at the moment, and so it is time to rip into him a bit. But I think it's because no one came to the barbecue that he set up. I don't know if you know But Bicey cooked a bunch of briskets, and we went down into the Southern Ocean, and no one came.
You're all right there, ready to go.
So I think that's kind of why he's not here now. How do you feel about missing the barbecue side?
Did you want to go to the barbecue?
No, I'm devastated.
What about?
I mean, it was basically south of Kangaroo Island. I mean, we were about 900 miles south, so we were in your line. You just went straight past us.
The other thing is,
I was supposed to send you blokes a message and wave as I went past. And I was like, shit, now we're on to New Zealand. What happened there?
It was like, did you?
All the days melded into one, so I probably missed the invite.
I think BP's sort of question is, did you
off.
feel like you're missing out on things? You know, like you went past Sail GP in New Zealand, and you went past Bicey's barbecue, and you know all your mates along the southern hemisphere. Do you feel like when a leg that long, did you feel like you're missing out at some stage, or your kids?
Yeah. We pretty missed the whole. I think we missed the whole of March. That was like 1 month just gone. Like March was sat in a boat. It's pretty wild, and you think like all the stuff you can do in 40 days or whatever. We were just rolling through the watch system on the boat. It's pretty wild to think about it.
Which brings up a really, really cool point. And for the listeners, this is probably a really, massive question. Personally, I mean, in that confined space with the movement, the sound, the constant that's going on around you, I mean, what was the biggest bit of solace you got out of it? Where did you find peace?
It's an interesting one. That's a good question. Yeah. No, I mean, it was an interesting leg, and it was like an interesting one, like personally as well. I mean, one thing that's kind of changed quite a lot with this race compared to the other ones is the ocean race always used to be super strict about internet. We're always just connect to race control. There's no mobile phones, so you were super cut off. Actually, this race, we've kind of got more open internet, so there is that opportunity to be a bit more connected to the outside world, have direct contact with your family and your loved ones.
Oh, well, that's important.
Yeah. So which is kind of is a big change from before. I mean, I went with Maria. She's kind of used to the old way, so she's like, it's weird being able to WhatsApp you. So she's like, I know you're busy, so I'm not going to bother you too much.
That is
so that's quite funny.
Oh,
but
Maria,
sort of people lean into it different ways. Like, I mean, like Amo on the boat, as the onboard reporter, he's kind of like, oh, I'm down here to disconnect from the rest of the world, so I'm not, not going to read the news and look up.
Yeah, but he's on it.
Who's actually probably the person in the best position to sort of stay connected to the outside world. He really, he really lent into the fact that you're on your own, and you kind of got to make the most of these situations, and you do. It's good. It's good to sort of embrace that whole disconnect from society and just focus on being on board and living in the moment and all of that.
So, like you talk about the personal stuff, like you're in, as BP said, you're in this confined space. Did it, like somebody must have lost it, like can you, was there any of that sort of situation going on, or?
Yeah, I know. I think definitely people found it harder than, some people found it harder than others, that's for sure. And then like a big element of it was, we're trying to race, we're trying to win. And then all of a sudden you're like trying to manage breakdowns and just keep the boat in one piece. And I mean, there was quite a big inflection point in the leg where we kind of sat down and said, look, the best thing we can do for the long term of this campaign is get the boat to Brazil as quick as we can, but in whatever position, because, most of the points are still on the table for this race. So it was about just getting the boat to the finish line. And once I sort of got myself on that mindset, I sort of found it easier to handle the fact that we might be behind, or we're going slow, or we're not sailing to performance. I was able to sort of, put away a lot of that frustration. And then it was one of those things as well, it's like you do these legs because they're a challenge, you do these races because they're a challenge. If they were easy, then I guess everyone would do it. And it was one of those legs where you're kind of like, okay, am I going to beat this leg, or am I going to let this leg beat me, And it was like, right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna have fun doing this, even if it's absolutely miserable. I'm gonna try and do this.
You are
so that sort of
probably
became the challenge.
You are probably one of the most experienced round the world sailors on the planet now. You're up there. You've done a shitload of them. what was your words to the guys? I mean, obviously Charlie's done one, and a few of the other guys and girls have done one. How do you
more than one?
How do you manage that mentality?
Yeah, I guess, you're right. I think I'm definitely one of the sort of elder statesmen in this
I was
race
only
now.
thinking
I don't know
about
if I'm the oldest, but I'm definitely one of the most miles on the clock. So
yeah, I was only thinking about it today when I was going to be talking to you tonight. That you are probably the most global sailor, globally, traveled sailor on the planet.
Oh no.
Yeah, you were getting up there. I'm sure some of these sort of wizened old French sailors have got some more miles than me, but certainly in ocean race terms, in this race, I think I'm one of the one of the older guys in the fleet. And I mean, that was but I guess in this leg it was just trying to have a bit of fun with it and trying to sort of take some of the pressure off of the other guys, or ease the frustration, and I sort of was pushing the mantra chill to Brazil for a while, and nothing silly before we get to Chile, just to say, look, we don't have to push here. We just got to get there,
Yes.
And
I guess that mentality.
You can kind of lose yourself in the frustration of the whole situation when you realize you're not winning. But actually, you kind of got to pinch yourself and remind yourself that it's actually a real privilege to sort of be out there and have the opportunity to do this. And
absolutely, that's the way.
No matter how miserable it is at the time, it'll all be over at some. It was pretty wild as well, reflecting on it, it's like it was like.
Well, this is an important
never
thing.
Going to end, Once we were like around the horn and going up, and there's all the this
we've
issue
all got...
and that issue, and then we had the mainsail down, and it was like 4.5 days to go to Brazil for probably about 4.5 days, or felt like an eternity. Felt like we're never going to step off the boat, and then you get on shore, and like the whole circus starts, and then you're like, bam! This whole thing's just a distant memory. I remember sitting on the beach with the kids in Brazil, going, "Wow, yeah, that's all like done. It's a memory now." So,
which is what I was driving along thinking. I was driving along thinking today. Okay, you've just done it. If you were now, but you're about to start this leg, would you go again?
That's a good question.
Gotcha.
That's a good question. Yeah. I don't know. I think I said at the time, it was the longest leg ever. Probably the longest one I'll ever do. Yeah, I certainly don't feel the need to repeat it.
It's too soon, you reckon?
Yeah, maybe a bit too soon. But that said, I'm pretty psyched for the next leg. I'm sort of looking forward to that.
So
put our best foot forward in the next leg and back to the Atlantic sailing and being able to push and put it all out there.
The thing for a navigator like yourself, mate, is that the race doesn't stop whilst you're on shore for you. Like the amount of work you guys do before legs is phenomenal. So I'm assuming, do you have a second navigator that's doing a bit of the work at the moment, or you straight back into the work?
Yeah, no, I've been trying to take a bit of a break. I think I may have alluded to it before, but this whole race has been like pretty full on. Like legs 1 and 2 actually felt like one long leg because we were in Cabo Verde for however many days, and you're trying to prepare the weather, and it was only the sailors could work on the boat, so that kind of felt like 1 month long leg. Cape Town felt very, very short, and then we're into the longest leg ever. And no, I mean on the weather side, I'm actually really lucky to work with both Marcel Van Triest, who's probably the top man in his profession for this sort of shoreside weather navigation support, and then also Chris Bedford, who's obviously one of the sailing's top meteorologists, and actually a massive part of the pleasure of doing this race for me is working with guys like that. Yeah, and it's always good fun. It's good fun. You always learn a lot, and it makes it really interesting. They're the guys that sort of challenge you intellectually, but there's also a good vibe and a good sort of sense. There's a lot of good dry humor, if you see what I mean. So I thoroughly enjoy that bit as well.
From the weather side, like we all everyone experiences weather every day. We know that, and we all think we're experts. This is happening. What is one of the biggest things you've taken out from working with these guys, and especially being out there in the Southern Ocean or having to make these decisions that are so critical for the boat safety and performance? What's one of the biggest things you've taken out from working with all these people?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is it's just like, it's funny when I look back when I did my first race, I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sort of quite surprised we did as well as we did.
Didn't care what you didn't know.
No, exactly. You don't know what you don't know, and over the course of these 6 races I've done, I've had it's been a real pleasure to work with, with Chris, with Marcel, with Clouds, people like Tom Addis, all of these guys who've sort of supported, either sat on the boat with or sort of working shoreside with all of these guys. My first race, I had Stan Honey, Mike Quilter, Ken Campbell, like all the people that have, been doing this for years and years and years. So it's been like a real pleasure, and I've taken away lots from all of those guys I've worked with, which has been amazing. And it's just kind of like slowly built up the experience and the knowledge. And I guess there's things that I spot now that I'd never noticed.
Well, can you share one of the major things that you think you've learned?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard when you sort of try and boil it down, but
I mean, weather is weather. We know that, but I mean, it's becoming more a finite science now than what it was in the last, 30 years. It's definitely finite now.
Yeah, and I think in some ways it's got a little bit easier because the weather modeling's that much better, and we've got more access to sat images and all of that. But I'm still amazed when I sit on a call with Chris Bedford. He'll explain stuff about the weather that's like, I would have never thought about that or looked at that or understood it that way. So,
we're starting to get to 5 degree shifts here and 5 degree shifts there over an entire ocean.
And you work with these guys, and it's like, Marcel always has a really in detailed look at things and identifies different areas that, if you're sort of rushing through it or trying to prepare, you might not spot. So sort of my job is to sort of take on all that information and all that detail and sort of really boil it down into the decision points that matter, And I guess the thing that I've sort of improved most at as a navigator over the years is sort of identifying those important points and those important decision things, managing risk versus, trying to beat the weather and sailing the fleet versus, and it's, I guess hard to sort of boil it down into one little thing.
Yeah.
It's more about like managing that whole situation, and I can probably do it under a bit more pressure with a bit more ease now, if you see what I mean, having had all that experience. But it's
a cool thing.
I'm sure we could do a whole podcast on that and talk about it
one day.
We will. Why don't we?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we should one day. That'd be really cool. I mean, it's actually, I'm always amazed that there's not more people sort of jumping into the navigation game. I mean, when you look at this race, I guess I'm sort of one of the only sort of ocean race kind of guys that were, wore the navigator cap before. Most of the other guys are now these. Yeah, I mean, we're obviously in a race with a very French feel because it's a mocha. But a lot of these guys, like Nico Lumven, for example, on Malizia, whatever, come from that short-handed background, and like Tom LaPerche did a nice job at Holcim, and they sort of did the whole package. So it seems to be a bit of a lack of these sort of specialty navigators, although we're less crew, you kind of got to be an all-rounder anyway.
Yeah.
I think my strength as a navigator for a lot of it was I was actually, pretty handy on deck. So I guess these things go around and around. Yeah. But, personally, I'd like to see more people getting into the whole navigating thing.
Well, that's a topic, definitely an interesting topic to discuss. I mean, it's and the boats are leaning themselves more to that sort of philosophy, as we get more and more into this. And the speed of the boats, obviously, is requiring more concentration on where to be. Obviously that's always been the way, but it's now more important because you can manage these fronts, you can manage these systems a bit better.
Yeah. No, exactly. And actually, one of the interesting challenges of this race is because I'm in the watch system with all the other guys, because we're only 4, then I actually don't have as much time to mull over things as you would when, last race in the 65 is out of the watch system and you could kind of sit there and monitor stuff and see things play out and all of that. Whereas being efficient with your time and with your decision making and your rest and all of that sort of becomes really important on these boats. So you're often trying to boil down like trying to just pick the most important thing or the most, and sort of boil it down and make that decision. You have to be quite, economical with your time, because most of the navigating you end up doing is either taken away from when you should be focusing sailing on the boat, or taken away from when you might be sleeping. So it's sort of, there's been a big push to be economical with sort of my time making those decisions. So you do a lot of it on the fly. You see some of the videos, and I do half my navigating sort of on deck, sitting on the pit bag with the big screen in front of us. We have in the cockpit on the jumbotron.
Yeah, the jumbotron. With
and then the other half I do sitting in the bilge, getting my head smashed against something normally. And I'm starting to show my age because I've still got the type really small, and I'm squinting trying to see.
Oh, you poor bugger.
Around 100 miles an hour.
And you lose your glasses in the bilge.
I've not had to go to the glasses yet, but I'm waiting for the moment.
Oh, you're still under 50. You're still under 50, are you?
Just yeah. I got a few years to go. I'm all right.
we have to start. So we'll have to, stop waxing on and crapping on about bloody navigators. We'll have to start thinking about it from the next leg on. I don't want you to tell me exactly, but have you come up with some new ideas to find a bit of pace? Have you guys thought of a few things? What are are you building a new mainsail? That's another obvious question. Like what are the things you're focusing on for the next leg, and where you're going to take out the opposition?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty excited for the next leg, and actually the conditions we'll see in this back half of the race with more reaching, upwind, all that stuff, actually sort of will probably suit us a lot better than maybe some of the conditions we've seen. Our sort of boat was always it's interesting, we sort of as a ocean race platform sort of thing. This boat was designed to be a more all-round kind of boat.
Yep.
The design was also, it's probably worth mentioning as well, the design was also done with going to China in mind, and up and down the Pacific as well, which so all of a sudden, when they drop the whole Asia stop, it changed the complexion of the race a lot and pushes it a lot more to a VMG kind of race. So we're looking forward to a bit more reaching and a bit more upwind stuff that we know we're pretty strong at. And we spend a lot of time analysing data and looking at stuff, and we know where we have to look to find a bit of speed in the downwind stuff, and with everything being a bit more moderate as well, we know where we can push harder and be comfortable pushing harder. And I think it's the back half of the race now, and we got some points to make up. We got to sail maybe a little bit more aggressively, a little bit more to win. Push the boat a little bit harder, and because we want to go out and win this thing. So I think we're probably guilty of sailing a little bit conservatively in the first part of the race.
I was just going to say, Bud, that leg from Newport to Aarhus, you're guaranteed to win that, because you don't even have to navigate. Like you've done that you've done that trip across for you guys quite a few times. The boat knows its way across there. So
exactly.
Yeah.
It'll pretty much sail itself across it.
Exactly.
We might have to steer it to the left a bit to stop it trying to go back to France. But in the last I think we've been doing this. I've certainly been with this team since 2020 now. We've been across the pond. I don't know how many times. So definitely got the transatlantic count up between Newport and France. So
yeah. No, it's going to be quite challenging. As you said. So for the listeners, they go from Itajaí, which is where they are now in Brazil, to Newport in Rhode Island, which is, Charlie's home turf. So, and Amory's home turf as well, I think. And then across Aarhus, then they've got a Kiel flyby, then The Hague, and then into the finish in Genoa. So, there's still a lot ahead. And as you say, it's quite tactical. It's all sorts of conditions, The routing so far is known weather systems. We all know what the weather systems are supposed to do and where you've got to position, and it's the same, I guess. From everyone knows what you're going to have to do from Newport to Aarhus, but it does get funky in a couple of the spots, And this next leg's a challenging one, I think, because you're crossing whilst you're on the western edge of the doldrums. You're still crossing over the doldrums again, So
yeah.
you've got there's plenty of challenge ahead.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. This next leg will be. I always quite enjoy this leg. It's always quite a nice one to do after the Southern Ocean. Just starting a leg where it's usually quite light in the first little part of the leg. It's light and it's warm, and you can do it in board shorts and the t-shirt the first few days. Yeah. It's quite nice, but it's challenging because you're trying to get to the trade winds initially out at the start. It's quite light and it's often very squally. Normally, the boat that can sort of get themselves in the trade winds first has a pretty good shot at this leg. But there's a few traps along the way. Remember, we're chatting about this other day actually with the team in a briefing, saying the best way to win this leg is get to the trades first. Yeah. We certainly went in with that mentality with Abu Dhabi in 2015, and we led all the way to almost the trades, and then right on the entrance of the trade winds, there was a big rain cloud and it stopped us, and we were like seventh, trailing into the trade winds. You're like, well, hang on a bit. What about? But, it's a tricky one, but the north-south legs are always interesting. You got the doldrums, so you got plenty going on there. Then you're back into the weather systems. The Gulf Stream's always a challenge.
Gulf Stream's going to be huge.
You can get a lot of wind and then suddenly very little and a ton of current, and then
and adverse waves.
Even the Narragansett last time, there was some pretty big place changing in the full P super fog conditions where you couldn't see the other boats.
That's crazy little part.
There'll be plenty on, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I want a yes no. I don't want you to give anything away, but is there something that you've spotted that you guys are going to be able to do different that's going to give you an advantage? Is there something you've worked out, you reckon?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of little things that we know we can do better.
Little things lead to big things.
Exactly. And it's about how we sell the boat. It's about the mentality, how much risk we take, all these little things kind of add up, how you approach the leg and all that sort of stuff. So,
is there an element of that? Is there an element of, we're going for broke now?
Yeah, I think there's got to be.
You've spent 3, as you said, 2-3 years of testing, 2-3 years of this. You've gotten through the leg that we all knew that there was an element of let's get there.
Now
it's let's go for broke.
Yeah, and really, it's sort of if you didn't get to Brazil, then
which happened to one of them,
complicated. Which you happened to one of them, but at least they could go the short way. I think if you had had a breakdown, mid-Pacific and ended up somewhere,
Australia.
Spicy's place, Spicy's barbecue,
Australia, Adelaide, I don't know, New Zealand, one of these things, and you were struggling to make this next leg, I think it would have been game over. So there was definitely an element of,
do you think
you just got to get to Brazil? But I think now we're back in the Atlantic.
Yeah, I was going to say. So you think the focus now for the next leg is full bore?
No.
You reckon still save the boats?
No, the focus is this, BP. And SIFI, we got to put it to you, bud. You've got a lot of legs ahead, right? All the teams are sort of mentally worn down because of the long leg. You guys need to come in and start throwing the banter out there.
Just get some banter out there.
The start, just start using the psychological warfare, and take them down.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, we're certainly, all the chat, we're going to come out swinging, that's for sure. And,
good. Love it.
It would have been nice, it would have been nice to be sitting on a nice cushy lead now, and being able to be a bit more conservative. And, if that would have been lovely. And that was sort of, the hope, the plan for the beginning part of the race,
isn't it?
Thinking you're going into this race as a boat with a lot of preparation. You think you can, hopefully get a few good results. And we've been bloody close, to be honest. First leg we were second, and not for a rip jib, we probably could have, should have won that leg. Leg 2, it was the randomizer in the last little bit, and could have been first, could have been third. So we're pretty close, and we know when on our best day when we're sailing well, we know we're
I think
capable. Now we've got a few points to make up. So no excuses. Just got to come out swinging and go. And we also know that there's been plenty of changes in all the rosters of the other boats.
Oh, they're weak.
What a better moment to sort of come in and shake things up a bit. So I think everyone will have to adjust a little bit and reassess for the second half of the race. And
still pretty impressive from from spectators' point of view. The the sailing, the way you guys have and girls have done what you've done,
and getting the footage off. Like we finally see
the footage off, all of that. We love it, and I think that has been sort of something that was a bit of unknown as for this particular version or genre, if you like. And I think the sailing side of it is a really cool aspect that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean they're cool boats as well. They're it's a massive difference from what we used to before, but they're cool boats to sail, and they're, I mean, like as a sailor and someone who like enjoys the design side and the performance and that, they're really interesting boats. They're bloody complex because you're sailing in displacement mode, semi-foiling, full foiling, trying to manage the sea state. There's so many different sort of dimensions to these boats. They make them quite complicated and a real challenge to sail. So I hope some of that gets sort of reflected in the footage. Being out there, I guess. I don't get to see too much of that, and there's scarcely enough time in the stopover to sort of watch the videos off the boats as much as you'd love to for like intelligence gathering.
Here's one for you. Trickle down.
Oh God.
Trickle down.
Yeah. I mean, are we going to see Sydney Hobart 40-footers that are allowed to race in a handicap division?
Stick some foils on your thing, BP. You're good to go, mate. Just shove some foils in the side. You can make it happen.
I've already got my new design coming.
Pip selling a pair of foils, mate. Just stick them in the side.
I've already got a new design coming. But what we're talking about here now is the general sailing side of things. Trickle down. They're hard to manage. They're not easy to manage. They're hard to keep in a marina. They're expensive to run. I mean, are we going to see something that is sort of resembling this? We saw canning keels come in. All of a sudden, canning keels, go through the fleets. We see water ballast. We see all this stuff happen. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time before someone hits go on a IMOCA type foiling design. I think it's just going to take like one owner, I guess. To have a go and put it out there, and I guess it's been talked about on I know some owners have talked about it and no one's committed yet, but I mean we're sort of starting to see the trickle down of the AC kind of foil concept. There's the first go fly 40, and there's the whole crop of these sort of 40-footers. There's a King Marina done a 45. So I mean there's sort of these boats sort of making their way out. So I'm sure it's only a matter of time before someone has a go at an offshore foiling boat. And
cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so. It'll happen. I mean, it's mind-boggling how expensive the foils are.
Yeah,
indeed.
Right.
For the cost of a set of IMOCA foils, you can,
buy 3 boats.
Get yourself a pretty tidy house,
Oh, dear.
But there's a good advertisement there, listeners.
I'm sure someone's gonna,
sell their house to buy some foils.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, we're kind of out of time, mate. We're going to have to wind her up because I know you've got some stuff to get done, and we're sort of chewed through a bit. But I do want to ask one little sort of final question, and I'm sure BP's got one as well. But would you go back to the 65s after sailing these? To go around or you prefer being in the little cabin?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's plenty of times where you're like, it's pretty nice in here, actually. Not getting pounded by every wave and washed down the deck and all of that sort of stuff. I think it's going to be I have to say, it's like there's definitely days where you miss sort of being out in the weather and, being on deck and enjoying the outside world. But I think it's going to be a bit of a shock to the system trying to do an offshore on a conventional boat again. Having to get yourself on deck in cold weather and put all the gear on and all that.
Take your slippers off.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
The risk of that whole accommodation thing is if somebody's just got bad gut trouble and they're just farting like crazy, like they've reacted to the dehydrated food and they're just farting.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. It's a real thing.
Wow, this is.
It's when you get upset by your own farts. That's when you know the situation's really bad.
Who did that? No, well, that's a topic for another podcast because living on board one of these things,
dried fruit,
living on board one of these things must have been insane. And I got to say, it's pretty wild to think about how it must have been.
Yeah, no, it's bonkers. And then actually, like, you got a whole 60-foot of boat, and then everything happens in the same like 2 square meters of yacht. And it's like everything.
At least with the old VOs, you know, you sort of have a little bit of privacy. You can get forward and, you know, go to the loo and do what you got to do.
Yeah. Not in these things. Actually, the best place to go in the loo is right next to where you prepare your food. So next to the loo bunk. If Amo was sleeping, then poor guy had like someone on a bucket next to him in his ensuite. So
while he's sleeping,
so on top of each other.
Is that what you call recycling, Simon?
Oh no! Look,
I have to say, I got back on land, and then like, I think 2 days after we finished, I was in the aquarium with the kids. Not used to standing up for that long. Like, after 2 hours of standing up, I'm like,
well, this is the other thing.
Holding my back, going, oh God, I've got to sit down. Just not, you know. You go from lying down, you do about 2 steps, and then sit down to go sailing. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. The other thing I thought about,
and the headroom's not great in these things, so you're not standing up that much. So getting used to walking around again's been a bit of a challenge, but getting there.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Oh, well, man, bloody awesome. Great to see you. Yeah. You're looking great.
Yeah, you too, guys.
You do look reborn, I've got to say.
Yeah. The photo Maria and the kids were waiting for me on the dock, so I had no excuse to not shave and tidy up. The beard came straight off within hours of arrival.
Yeah, good. Cool. Awesome. Good to see you, mate, at Safe, bud, and we're right behind you. We're looking forward to watching you for the rest of the race, and we'll definitely be chatting again, I think, pretty shortly.
Nice. Well, look forward to catching up soon. Give my best to Bicey.
I was going to say, send love to Bicey.
Yeah, will do.
All right, mate. Good on you, buddy. Cheers.
Good stuff. Great to catch up, guys. Nice to talk to you.
BP, that was good. Made better for not having Bice there, I would suggest.
Yeah, well, we were able to get sort of words in edgeways. It was good.
Well, it's actually just to give the audience a bit of a audio of what it actually sounds like with 2 idiots doing it
instead of 3. No, seriously speaking, it's always good to get a really good insight from as it is. One thing that just continues to astound me is the comfort level of these guys and girls on this leg, it being the longest leg.
As in minimal comfort.
Yeah, absolutely. And the time it's taken him to, or all of them, I would suggest, to sort of get back to, normality must be, being hunched over for so long and all that.
Yeah, that was crazy, wasn't it? And I mean, the exhaustion that they went through and the focus, and you can see that, they had to sort of temper the level of energy they threw at it, given it was so long. So, yeah, excuse me. Good chat, and had a couple of good ideas there, boss. You wouldn't have picked up on this yet, but the suggestion of getting a group of navigators together and having a panel, that could be a good one, especially if we did a live event. Maybe the same with a few tacticians, I think we could do that. I think both BP and I are into that one. So, yeah.
Well, we might as well go the whole hog and we'll do a Bowman session as well. That would be a laugh.
Yeah, I know, but we want people.
Isn't that who you are on Omoka anyway? Yeah. Navigator, Bowman, and tactician.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
So we'll just get it all done in one show, eh?
Yeah, there goes all our weeks of planning out the door. Just one show, done. Oh, dear. No, it was good fun. And best of luck for the rest. They're not far from kicking off and heading up from Itajaí onto Newport. So that will be interesting. BP and I were discussing after the interview whether all the things, you've got so much traffic coming into the Caribbean. So you've got to look to your right as you're heading north, because there's so many boats coming in. And then, of course, all the cigarette boats racing up and down off
catch a couple of white lobsters.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Off the east coast of the US,
just to pay for the campaign.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Too much fun. All right. Other news. We'll go into club events. First, quick congratulations. It seems to be single-handed sailing season in the Kiwi land. Young Will Mason winning the Starling Nat, so I haven't really paid much attention to a starling. It looks like a kid's version of a sabre almost, but with less freeboard. They look like they spend a lot of time underwater, those things. But Will Mason won those nationals, Manly Sailing Club. So congratulations there. But the other one that I wanted to bring up, lads, kicking off today. I'm not sure.
Rainbow Nationals? Oh,
Hey?
no.
I'm not
The
sure.
Rainbow Nationals?
Yeah, the Rainbow. No. Your mate Kalen Howard sent me a dirty note about Rainbow saying he's not on the Rainbow program. He loves it.
Oh, no chance. He wouldn't fit under the boom.
Yeah, no, he's not into it. Etchell Worlds. Etchell Worlds. So they're in Miami in Florida, east coast of the US. So where all those cigarette boats will be running up and down the coast. They start today. Are we fired up, boys?
I am actually. Had a chat to a couple of people. There's a couple of Australians who have made the effort to go over there. SIFI Jarvan, Sammy Newton, obviously, with JC. Jake, Ron Jacobs has gone over. Simon Riffold. Benny Lamb is sailing, and there's another crew. The guys from Victoria have gone over with Tiger. So there's a little bit of interest from our side of it there.
Well, that's what, 4 or 5 cheats?
No, they're...
Aren't the Australians all cheats?
Yeah. Anyway, no, but it's going to be good to follow them.
Reffold's a cheat. Let's pick on Simon Reffold while we got a chance.
He's very loud.
He's a fantastic human being. I love him. Anyway.
But no, we have got interest in it, and obviously it's a precursor to Melbourne and Perth coming up. For those who are interested in Etchells, so we'll see who actually makes the trip down here. So it'll be good.
What I'm interested in is this new Doyle technology, this structured luff sails that they're using as part of the world, the jibs. So I'm being pretty interested to see how they're going to perform, actually.
Well,
north
particularly for an Etchell.
Exactly. With the forestay tensions that they're running and all those sorts of things.
Yes.
Norths have generally kind of, populated the group.
Yep.
Doors have been knocking on the door, plus a few others.
Yep.
So is this a game changer as it was in big boats?
It's bloody interesting, absolutely. I mean, we know that the big advancement in the last, few years has been the forestay tension, and obviously being able to run a broader sort of range, if you like, of controls, which has been exciting, and we'll see how that pans out.
Well, let's explain for those who don't know how the structured luff works. It's basically what it provides is for less rig tension, you've got your luff stands up a lot more. So with an Etchell where you can't really get a lot of forestay tension, and that, as BP said, all this debate about mould 11 in my mind comes back to the fact that actually it's about the rig, and they worked out how to get more forestay tension into the Etchell. That's what I reckon the secret has been. And now with this structured luff, that should make it even more interesting. So I think you're really onto something there, boys. Can get choppy off. We're in the Bay of Biscayne where they'll be racing, so can get choppy. It'd be very interesting to see if there is.
It certainly can, my friend. Given the last time we went to Miami,
yes,
it got a little choppy on the side roads.
Choppy, bit choppy, was it? Bit lumpy.
Now, interestingly, lads, I'm obviously given that we like to follow events. I tried to sign up for the live streaming, and they want my credit card details.
Yes, did you give them over? You should have given the Barcrady details.
Yeah, sure. Mate, you know how hard it is for me to open my wallet the best of times. To open my credit card up on the internet, it's just not happening. It's just zero.
I like your comment. I did see your comment. Yeah, right.
And
I'm giving you my credit card to watch a yacht race.
I don't even give my email out that hard, like I'm pretty secretive when it comes to, I try and keep stuff. And I logged on this morning and I was trying to check a few things out. And then I have to provide my email to get the weather forecast. I've got to sign in. They've obviously provided, the organisers have gone to a lot of private businesses and those businesses are trying to get as much data off us.
Get some data. Yeah.
Oh, it's a revenue. Make money.
Mate, within 2 weeks, you will give us the full rundown of all the results and you'll be a Trump supporter.
Annual Lines owns some new wave mushroom technology for herbal remedies.
Well, at this stage, I'm not following the actual. So if anyone could just ring me and tell me what's going on, that'd be the go. But anyway, best of luck to everyone competing. Good spot on the structured luff technology, boss. I think you're on.
Yep, well done. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Anything else on club events coming up for either of you two?
Well, I mean, I guess we sort of started at the start of the show. Why don't we talk about what Bossy's up to?
I was going to bring that in later on.
Oh, well, okay. Then we'll bring it in later on.
Yeah.
We'll bring it in later on.
Yeah. Tell us how you really feel.
Jack Lloyd, listener of the week. Then that's changed. Obviously, we've had a week off, so all my notes have gone a little bit crazy. But I think it's a pretty quick and easy one for this one. Seeking we're talking about the actual worlds. The Matty Knight sent in Matthew Knight. The man has sent in the crew list from the actual 22 Worlds. So
he's very funny, very funny.
He's provided his email. He's put all his details up. He's handed over his first three children's name.
He's voting for Trump.
Yeah, he's voting for Trump. Yeah, he's all good. He's living in the underwater part of Miami, Florida now. And sympathetic to all those people that are flooded. I think Fort Lauderdale is suffering, so we're aware. Best of luck to everyone. I hope you're okay. He sent in this list of the crews, and
this sort of comes under our 100% serious 23% of the time.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Fits right in there.
I think our new favourite Etchell team that we'll be cheering for is a team called Leading Edge. Okay,
that's them. That's great name.
Yep. Okay. So as I said, we got the spot from Matthew Knight, and Leading Edge crew have provided their details, and so we've got Kyle Assad, Jeff Deaver, and Scott Hoffman sailing on the Leading Edge. Kyle Assad, under role on the boat, is leeward runner. I guess that should be leeward runner trimmer.
Very important job.
Very important job on an Etchell, given the forestay tension.
Well, now with the little bit more roach in the backstay, the top batten does tend to get caught. You've got to be careful.
Jeff Deaver is pro bowler. Yeah, I don't know what role that is on a boat. Pro bowler or pro bowler? You could.
I think is it 10 pin
That's
or
probe owler.
It's an owler.
He keeps his eye out.
Yeah, he's an owler,
and he just keeps pointing. He keeps poking you.
So
probing you.
So is he the strategist then?
And then we got Scott Hoffman, who is the Cat 3 cooler jockey, which is
what that is.
That is my role.
Cooler jockey.
So
probably a few Bud Lights going out there, I believe.
I love it.
Slam that down.
Anyway, for the Matty Knight, clearly listener of the week for that one. That was a good spot.
Well done, Matty Knight.
And also, I think jointly the boys from Leading Edge, congratulations team, would be 100%. So if Barker 80 team could just jump on following them, the Leading Edge team, good on them. Best of luck for that regatta. But listener of the week, that was a good one. Good spot.
Yep, nice.
And
they'll look good in their merch pack.
That's it.
During the Worlds.
And we encourage that sort of behaviour, don't we? That's the sort of stuff we want to see, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
Ole, 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 ole. Feeling hot, hot, hot.
It's hot time with Bice.
Feeling hot, hot, hot.
So is this the time to talk about Newcastle?
Exactly.
Well, hang on. Can we just ask?
What?
Is it okay, Jay?
No, look, let me tell you my logic, all right, for the listeners. You two sitting there taking the piss out of me. Hot time with Bice. Bice has to prepare a whole list of things to discuss about. He's sitting in Newcastle doing a yachting regatta. He's thought of nothing. He hasn't written a single thing down.
Absolutely nada.
So I thought, let's be smart
Put him
about
on the spot.
And let him bring in the discussion about this regatta. And that way it looks like he's done some work rather than just skipped out on the whole thing. So
Fair call.
That was the plan. But now you've blown it. The secret of media is all gone.
Yeah. Our planning and production strategy. Our strategy's ruined.
Boss, have you got it?
But what I will tell you, well, first of all, Newcastle, great place, as mentioned in the intro.
Yep.
Yesterday we started in the harbour, but we had our little briefing yesterday morning with one of the pilots from the harbour.
Oh yeah,
5,000 shipping movements per year.
Yeah, it's
within this harbour.
Yeah,
the busiest
massive,
on the east coast of Australia.
Massive harbour.
So yesterday's offshore start was a little delayed just due to a bit of shipping movement going on, but of course the whole time there's ships just in and out, like the tide, in and out, in and out, in and out. And there's some pretty strict rules around it. I mean, we're all guilty of being a little bit relaxed around the shipping, around the ships and channels and all that sort of stuff, but not here, mate.
No, you're on it. Yeah,
seriously. If you do not show your intentions that you are avoiding, you're in court, basically.
Right. In court.
Yes.
Led away in handcuffs.
Yep.
It's a pretty well run port, that one. We had some discussion about that when we were working on the Volvo Ocean Race back in the days. We were looking at but for some stupidity that would have not at the Newcastle end, that would have been a stopover. But so we got to deal with those guys a bit, and they're very switched on. It is an interesting port. Like it's right on the edge of the continental shelf, so it gets this good open swell as soon as you get outside. The other thing interesting is you go out, Bice. If you look on the Stockton side, so the north side, as you out the harbour, all those rocks and stones on the side there are old ballast stones from the ships coming over from the US from hundreds of years ago. So they come out with nothing to take stuff back, and so they drop those ballast stones off. So that's all is there. Yeah,
a little bit of history.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
but super impressive from a water's edge point of view, and an awesome place. You were up here doing the sailing league a few years ago, Jordan.
Yep.
Which has been running at the moment for I guess it's like the New South Wales States or the regional championships.
Yeah.
In front of the Honeysuckle Wharf area,
which is
a nice little bar.
That's exactly right. There's a pub.
May or may not have been there when I missed the last interview.
You just, like, for those doing the Sailors League, you literally sit in a pub while you're waiting for your turn. You're just having the best time ever. So.
That wouldn't work. That wouldn't work too well for us, would it?
Well, it worked fine, bud.
Depends. Performance goes well in the morning or the afternoon. Who knows?
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It was fantastic. Anyway, best of luck. So you got three Windward Lords today.
Yeah. Big day today for everyone.
10 TP52s.
Yes.
Wow.
Which is possibly, behind the goal, the TP stuff in Europe, it's probably not far off being one of the bigger regattas.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bunch of boats from all over the joint, including ours. We came up from Adelaide for this, so yeah. It's didn't exactly set the world on fire yesterday, but today's a different day, you know.
Well, I heard you did well off the first a little bit, and then there was a bit of a tactical situation. But
I wouldn't even call it tactical. I'd just call it
local.
So who are we blaming?
Coming in.
Was it the navigator or the tactician?
No, definitely tactician.
Okay, so who was doing
definitely
tactics?
Gordon McGuire.
Huh?
Definitely Gordon McGuire.
Maguire's fault. Yeah,
who's that guy? Who's that guy?
All right. Well, best of luck today.
Well, I'll give him a call a bit later on.
Gorgeous, Gordon.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you got on your list there, boss?
Oh, hang on. Let me check my list. Damn it. Ocean Race isn't on. Damn it.
I'll bring up
America's Cup isn't on.
I'll bring up one.
Yes, go on.
Congratulations, Sam Goodchild, friend of the show. He's just launched his new IMOCA, which is the old Linked Out, and has been renamed For the Planet.
Yep.
Congratulations, Sam. I think he's a busy boy, obviously organising that whilst racing around the world in the ocean race. But yeah, congratulations. I think he's part of a team because Thomas Riont's new boat, For the People, has been launched a month ago. So I've done. Did you not know this?
No, I knew, but just where everything's going here.
I know.
Sponsors.
For the planet, for the people.
For the people. And secret, guys, you haven't heard this and no one has heard this, but there is a third member of the team And there is another Amoka being launched next month. Have you guys heard about this?
No, you're going to have to tell us.
No, it's going to be launched.
Tell us.
It's going to be called For the Jordan.
As in number 4?
Yeah, no. But yeah, so they care about the planet, they care about the people, and they particularly care about
the Jordan.
Yeah,
the Jordan. Yeah,
right. About the Jordan. Yeah.
Is there going to be a big picture of your head on the mainsail? There? Big picture of your head on the mainsail?
Exactly. You're onto it. You're onto it.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be a catch because the normal mainsail's not big enough.
It's a yawl.
They need a second mainsail.
Oh, dear. But anyway, that's good for Sam. So very competitive.
Stand by on that one. That we could have some interesting news with that.
Okay, cool. You're going around, BP, and we need to find out who's going to, because I think it's the double-handed.
So, what's Sam's intentions? Is he planning to do the Vendée?
Stand by.
Given that now the whole qualification thing is a lot harder than it used to be, and the amount of boats, are they just going to open up the entries, or actually say to people like Sam, "Sorry, mate, not enough room"?
Well, we'll see how it all pans out.
BP's got a plan here, boss, is all I'll say. There's a plan underway.
Believe it or not.
I just realised I've double barcoded on my logos for the viewers.
I didn't read the run sheet.
That's right. Cool.
We're all good.
I'll give you something to take the piss out of me on, the Brisbane to Gladstone. So you can just roll straight into taking, because you haven't planned, but Brisbane to Gladstone was successfully raced. Upwind regatta, upwind race, very tough. A lot of boats pulled out, a bit of seasickness going on. Did you guys see the results?
Well, I didn't need to see the results, essentially, because I went exact opposite to what you were saying in your live stream. And I had a few discussions with Grant Cooper, who set up the whole KO thing and all that sort of stuff, which must have taken a mountain of work.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a bit of an advertorial, admittedly, for the first 20 minutes.
Well, someone's got to pay for it somehow. Otherwise, you have to subscribe and give your credit card over the internet.
Clearly.
Is that what we're doing wrong?
But, Jordan, we did have a little bit of correspondence whilst it was going on. I actually didn't watch it live, but watched it maybe 2-hour delay, your start, and your bold prediction of Maritimo taking it out both on IRC and over the line.
Yeah.
I believe my exact words were, "You're on the bong, mate." Maritimo won't win over the line. Your exact response was, "I was paid to say that."
As the event was sponsored by who?
Actually, in all honesty, I'd seen some weather modelling beforehand that showed Maritimo winning on line on us. So it had the chance of winning the line on us.
Yeah, no chance.
But then the two TP52s, Celestial and Ocean Crusader Jaber, which is the really old one that had been fully renovated, it did the Hobart with double hander, and now all the people that helped do the restoration did the race. So I think they had a bunch of pros on board effectively.
Imagine that. Here's your prize for helping out. We're going to go do a
smash your head into the wind.
Smash your head against the wall in the Brisbane to Gladstone race, and possibly sail in the worst sea conditions one could imagine.
Electrical storm, the whole thing. It was just crazy. But anyway, so Celestial got it online on us. But here's the thing we should be talking about. The overall. Did you guys see the winners on IRC?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or the overall winner of the regatta? I'm just trying to track down to IRC results, but from what I understand...
Whilst you're doing that, I was chatting to our, a couple of mates off Celestial, actually, and off of, what's that headland called? Off of one of the headlands there, worst sea conditions they've come across.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't easy for anyone in that particular race. So, to the winners, bravo.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Joe and Brody. They've given the overall to. So, which is a 1960 vessel. I'm just trying to find the results. I'm only getting the PHS results, but here we go. Sorry. excuse my cough. I'm still sick, kids.
That was like a little spew in your mouth.
Little spew bit.
Little spew bit. 7 o'clock in the morning.
Apology to the listeners. So from what Joe and Brady, basically, the old boats is what I'm trying to get to.
Well, this is a bit of a theme with this race.
Yeah, no. Oh, I see. Yeah, Wistari, because Wistari's the downwind, the old converted diamond, which loves the downwind stuff. Now we've got the upwind stuff. All the long keel boats came out to shine, is basically what's happened on the rating, which is good. And I think North Shore snuck in there, 46 snuck into the podium as well. So two of these Tasman Seabirds were the top boats. So Joe and Brody and Pagan 2, which are these 1960 boats, old, long keels. Long keels love going upwind.
Well, that's a fact. It's a given.
I will never buy a long keel boat. It's because I never want to have a boat that I
never want to go upwind. Yep. Here.
Yeah.
But awesome regatta. You must have had a ball down there with the whole team, Jordan. With
you're doing that full coverage,
Delph, Grant, and Nick just
and
covering it off.
Yeah.
Plenty of discussion, and one bit of discussion I picked up on the monohulls. How'd that all come into it? So the monohull race was happening at the same time, but not included in the main event.
The multi-hull race, are you saying?
Sorry. Multis. Yeah. My mistake. Yeah, sorry.
I think they used to be together. I don't want to say too much because I don't actually know the answer fully, but they used to be together. And I think the monos, there's a multi-hull race and a monohull race. And from what I understand, all the monohull guys, for some reason, the multi-hulls were just they weren't putting any money, they weren't doing any effort. This is what I've been told, so this is not my view. And so they just stopped working together, I think there was a dispute on who was putting in the effort. It's like any good relationship. Who cleans the toilet and who cleans the kitchen?
Who cleans the kitchen, who sweeps the floor?
That's it. And one of them wasn't sweeping the floor and cleaning the toilet, that's what I've been told. So anyway, the coverage and all the money that's been provided is for the monohull race. So there is a multi-hull race going on the exact same time, but it's not covered because all the money was provided.
No one was sleeping the floor.
Yeah, that's it. So that dispute. But anyway, it's a shame, but the great man, Grant Cooper, does a lot of work, and his wife, Nat, they put in a huge effort to put that
Great
up.
Effort.
75th anniversary. A lot of people said, obviously the promotion, but the goal for Grant has always been to try and get every boat covered. Don't want to be like the Hobart where there's 4 boats in the race and everyone else is just tagging along. That was the sort of the theme. But so hopefully that was good for people.
Good effort, and I must say though they should have got the set from the camera and just put it on a bit of an angle and had Grant's head first, Nick's head in the middle, and then yours, just so it was all the same from a scale point of view.
For the parallax.
Because Grant is quite a big fella.
Yeah.
Like as in tall.
Tall, yeah.
Nick's quite a small lass. You're like normal human size, as you say.
Mm.
Massive noggin though. And you smashed the both of them.
Yeah, I think Nick was quite upset about that. She reckons she's got a big head. She's trying to jump on the big head bandwagon. Did you know there was such a thing, the BHB?
BHBW. You guys should get a union.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Get some T-shirts made.
That's why I don't sell keel boats because, it's on a keel boat, it's always, Jordan, move that head up to there. Oh, Jordan, move that head down to there. Oh, dear. Anyway,
cool.
Anything else you guys want to bring up?
Oh, no, that's all on my list.
Yeah. BP, you got anything else?
No, mate, I'm all good. I'm just looking forward to seeing how you go today, boys. Windward Leeward, a bit more sort of suited to you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. You can tell it's early in the morning, can't you?
You're remarkably efficient with words then, BP. That's quite new.
no stuttering.
It's the new studio. It's really brought that efficiency out in you.
Hasn't it?
It's a good studio. It's plenty of space. You should see how far it goes.
Yes.
No.
It's got like a whole
waiting
other
for
section.
Keith Conlon just to walk across behind you. Yeah.
No, I think I'm going to build a new one this week though. So,
Oh, cool. All right, lads.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Cool.
for all the listeners out there, it's a really cool studio. Get on YouTube and have a look. There's a reason to get on YouTube.
Yeah. And if you don't, no worries. But anyway, have a good.
Don't, who cares?
Cool. I think we're done. Best of luck, boys.
Rightio, gents. I'm off to the boat.
Yep, get out there and
Last
enjoy the
day.
day.
Yes.
All right. And everyone
if you
else.
go well, you'll see plenty of results on the Bark Roadie page. If you don't see any, didn't go that well.
Had technical issues.
Yeah, and obviously we will be watching the actuals with interest, fairly interest. So we'll follow back up on that. But yeah, best of luck to everyone competing. All right, good to see you, boys.
Righto. Cheers.
Another big one next week, 8 by P. We've got it organised.
Yeah, we've got a few coming up next week, so it's all exciting.
Right,
Yeah.